Good evening and welcome to this lads at Tottenham. Forgot to press my mic. What a great weekend! Spurs won. Those West Ham crybabies lost. Arsenal lost. Chelsea lost. Happy days, Gibbo.
Mate, always a good weekend when Spurs win. My lad won his football game as well. So it was a good weekend for football, mate, wasn't it?
Fantastic. It was on a bit of a downer though, Gibbo. 12:20. I was in the kitchen, had the old TNT app on, or Discovery Plus, whatever it is, on the TV. Was ready to watch the game, and I got the email through. The Great South Run was cancelled due to storm, whatever his name is.
So you couldn't go running.
Couldn't
However
do the
many
Great South
miles,
Run,
mate.
40 running. Although loads of people apparently did run it. They just went out and just ran it through the storms and all sorts. And a lot of my friends ran around Bognor in there with the numbers on. But after the win, I was on such a high, I stupidly signed up for a half marathon at Goodwood. So I did 5 circuits of the motor circuit. I did an extra 5K on top. And now I hurt a lot.
What did you do that for? Because Spurs won. Surely you only go and do shit like that when they lose just to get your frustration out. You don't do it for fun.
I was buzzing. I was in a good way, to be fair. A friend of mine was doing a charity thing. She turned 40 last week and was doing 40 races in a year for charity. And the Great South was going to be her 40th race. So she was in a quick panic. What do I do now? So I sort of did it with her. And I did a PB. So I was happy with that. Although I really hurt. Not as much as West Ham fans do for their cockiness after 20 minutes chanting, "You're going to cry" to that guy in the Spurs hospitality. I mean, Gibbo, why would you sit in that suites? Steve will tell us off in that hospitality area, right behind the away fans. That seems crazy.
Must have been the only one he could get, mate. Or he likes the banter, innit? I mean, it is what it is, mate. It's all right when you win, innit? It must be shite when you lose, but fair dues to him.
HG would love it. HG would love to sit there.
Some people would be in their element in there, mate. Absolute element.
Yeah. Afternoon, Dave. Where are you? I'm guessing in the States. Let us know. Okay.
He's happy.
Kerry, yeah. Keith, all the regulars are back in. Great to see you guys. Please give us your comments. We're going to try and race through all this stuff tonight. So Saturday was an early kickoff. I'm always a bit nervous about these 12:30 games. Sometimes the crowd aren't always up for it. Sometimes, especially after international break, sometimes it's a bit of a iffy on what's going to happen. Team came out. I mean, so 2 changes, I think. So Bissouma came in, and Son obviously came back in for Timo, which is the biggest relief.
Yeah.
No, we know Sonny's not been on it, but that was a relief, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, mate, completely. Even Son not playing as well as he can. You know, where obviously we'll talk about it later, but when Son's going in on goal, you usually think, you know, we've got a better than average chance here of him bagging this. Whereas like Werner lately, mate, you just think, I mean, we'll just talk about it now, but he came on, didn't he? And I think there was one time where he sort of, I really, really feel for him. I don't usually get into all the confidence stuff with players, but he sort of controlled it and it just rolled out, didn't it? Towards the end of the game. And like my lad sat there watching, and my lad plays half decent standard of football, but he was just like, "Dad, this guy is rubbish. He is useless. Why isn't Mikey Moore getting minutes over him?" And I'm just sort of sat there going, "Mate, I can't answer that." Yeah, to have Son
I think I can answer that, Gibbo. I'll come to that in a minute.
Okay, just to have Son back over him. Yeah, and yeah, I don't mind Bissouma coming in for Bentancur. Bentancur been playing well. Wasn't great the second half against Brighton, was he? But I don't mind Bissouma. I mean, he gets some stick, but I think Bissouma's a decent player. But then I used to stick up for Højbjerg, didn't I? I used to get stick for that, mate. So, yeah, you know, I'm pretty happy with that team.
He is what he is, isn't he, Højbjerg?
Yeah.
And I honestly think we miss him at times this year, but I never wanted him to start. Off the bench, he gave us good options last year at times. I think the only rationale I can really think behind and start bringing Werner on rather than Moore, but 2 things. One, Moore is 17. Yeah, he's gonna probably start Thursday, so he's got to manage him. We can't throw. You see so many players burn out.
Mate. Yeah, I get you though.
That's one, and the other one is we've won the game. Werner desperately needs some confidence, doesn't he? Desperately. We're going to have to use him this season. Obviously, Odebear's coming back, but he's going to play games. And Andy's probably just hoping one might go off his backside, the old cliche, or something like that, and he might get a bit of confidence back and he might be a bit more useful. It is worrying. I do think once everyone's back, he's going to slip down the pecking order unless something happens. But I'd love to, I'm really hoping more starts Thursday, and we'll get to the AZ game later in the show.
I mean, it is what it is, mate. But it's just like frustrating, really, because you're 4-1 up and you think Moore should always be that guy who comes off the bench for us, especially in situations like that when the game's over. We're sort of like we're well on top. It's a game with a little bit of needle and stuff. It would have been good for him, and just bringing Werner on is just pointless. But it is what it is, mate. He's here till the end of the season, and he's going to continue to get minutes, isn't he? So just hope it doesn't affect us too much.
Yeah, Daniel's got it. Dude has lost his mojo absolutely. He scored 25 goals in a season in the Bundesliga, but going to Chelsea killed his career pretty much. And although I was in favour of him joining in January, I think none of us understood the May signing of him coming back. But the only rationale I could see was if he joined on transfer deadline day because we didn't have anyone else. I'm still baffled by why we've gone and we're paying all his wages and we've paid the loan fee. To me, just seems really, really odd. And so
I don't know about you, John, but when he played against Man United and we beat him 3-0, he missed 2 decent chances. But apart from that, he played all right. But the minute his final action is so poor, it's just so bad. But it's like the minute he missed that first one, you just saw the confidence drain out of him. And that first half against Brighton, he was really good, wasn't he? They changed it after. He was up against Veltman and was it Veltman? And he just literally skinned him. But his final action, he missed a chance against who was it in Europe where it was literally his final action is just so poor. But so we can get the Werner talk out the way. Ridiculous bloke.
Well, we're going to have the same talk Thursday night, aren't we? Because he's going to play that game. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Just want to say good morning to Cam down in Melbourne. Great to see you, mate. I think you are due to come back on the show. You told me you're coming back soon. Can you message me or Gibbo? So we'll get you in maybe this Friday or next Friday, whatever. Evening to Mark as well. Great to see you here. I'm just going to put this up here. Kerry Biss. So Biss was the other change, obviously. Came in for Benny, who, just had 2 weeks off because of his international ban. We haven't resolved his ban. That the FA, the charge for the racism thing for the Sonny comments he made. I think it was Paul O'Keefe put something up a couple of weeks ago when someone asked him about the ban, and he was wondering whether Spurs are trying to argue the case that he was in Uruguay, so he's on international duty, so he's FIFA's jurisdiction rather than a Spurs jurisdiction. Obviously, it could well be that he does get an international ban if that's the case, but he might just get, so as in all football, or it might be he gets playing for Uruguay again, which would be great. But 2 weeks off. Biss has just played for Mali. He played up in the front three, didn't he, in the game last Tuesday?
Scored.
So you'd think maybe he played Bentacle because he had played well, although he did go missing in Brighton, as did half the team. So were you surprised to see Biss brought back in?
I thought he might send Bentancur out because he was so shit in that second half against Brighton. But, I wasn't surprised that Bissouma came. I like Bissouma. I think Bissouma is a decent player. I think that number 6 for Spurs is, I say number 6, that sort of deeper midfield role. And we may come into the chat when you've sort of got Maddison and Kulusevski in front. Even before that, it's a really difficult role for whoever when ball breaks down, when we break down up front and they're coming at you. It is a difficult role. So you have got to be on it. You've got to be definitely on it when you're playing in that role. But I don't mind Bissouma, and I thought he had a decent game. I don't think he's been last season at times after he had that, because he had that spell, didn't he, where he was really good and then he went right off the boil and he got that he got sent off and he missed those games, and then he went off the African Nations Cup and he got a bit of stick for that. But I think he's come back from that really well, and I don't think he's been anywhere near as poor as that this season. So I don't mind him being in, and he bagged another goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought we started quite well, and then they had one chance where they got away from us, and Kudus obviously smashed the ball, really hit it really cleanly, and it was a great save, although it was very close to Vicario. But that's the sort of save we expect from him now. But a lot of keepers that would have gone through them, I think. If that was Jordan Pickford, it's probably in the back of the net.
Yeah, Vicario's decent shot stopper though, any mate. So that that's his the main part of Vicario's game is like shot stopping. So
Yeah,
decent save. But Kudus is a top player, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like the defending was a bit slack, but he's a good player, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'd love
As
him.
is
I'd love
Bowen.
his. Yeah, Bowen's really good. Yeah, I like both of them, but Bowen's really good, but he's just like a hard working. Not just that's the wrong thing, but he's hard working, isn't he? Whereas Kudus seems to just have that little bit of magic dust sprinkled on him, just that little bit
He's a
more
Spurs
flair.
player. That's what you want to say,
yeah,
isn't
mate. Yeah.
He's
He's
true
a
Spurs
typical.
player. This is a good point. Can't wait to see a firing Bissouma, Bentancur, and Decky. Could that be our best midfield?
It could be, mate. I mean, like, I'll put this in our group. Obviously, if you use Kulu as like what Madison last season, when we were playing really well in that first 10 games, the midfield was Bissouma, Sarr, Madison, wasn't it? So and we were playing really well then. We were playing well for that first 10 games. So whether you could go Bissouma, Sarr, and Kulusevski or Bissouma, Bentancur, will that suit us better because of how we play? Will that help us more? Not be as open. We're always going to be open because of the tactics and stuff. But yeah, I genuinely think that type of midfield will probably see. I mean, Kulusevski has been brilliant, hasn't he? I mean, if you're going to pick one out of Kulusevski or Madison at the minute, and I'm not even saying Madison's been terrible, but there's no contest, is there?
Well, I think this is why he was the man sacrificed.
Yeah.
Ange realised he needs to make a change because obviously Udogie again got beaten, the same as he did at Brighton, and made a defensive mistake. Bowen got past him far too easily, which led to the goal. I mean, there's other things. That goal came from our corner. Maddison took a corner, and I know the corners weren't brilliant, but Areola caught the ball in the 6-yard box completely unchallenged. Why is no one throwing themselves at him? And it wasn't like he caught it at the top. He just caught it at sort of head height.
Yeah.
He rolled it out. The dog's now barking in the garden. He rolled it out and he got switched to Kudus. And I thought Porro wasn't strong enough there. I think he's got to do better. Apologies, the dog's really going for it. And then obviously going over to Bowen, there was a bit of back and forth, bit of ping ball, wasn't it? Eventually, Bowen got round the Udogie, crossed it. Johnson was asleep, do you think? Should he be tracking better?
Yeah, he's not great at that, is he, Johnson? I mean, sometimes if you do watch, if you sort of watch what's going on apart from where the ball is, sometimes you see midfielders. Johnson is stood, and then he sort of reacts. He's not proactive in that act, but he's an attacker, mate. So you can sort of forgive that or understand it. But and how often do we? I mean, I think Porro. I love Porro. I think he's a great player. But how often do we say that about our fullbacks, mate? Like you say, he's got to be stronger there, or Udogie's got to be. We say that quite often, don't we? Really good players, but we tend to say that a little bit too often with those players. But yeah, I mean, that was just like a typical goal we concede, wasn't it? You can pick little bits where people just aren't switched on, aren't doing what they're meant to do, or aren't being in the right place, and that's how it is. I mean, he never caught it very well, did he? But it just sort of bounced in, didn't it? Really, not bobble, but it was a bit of a scruffy finish from him. But
it's one of those. If he catches it properly, it probably goes wide or hits the post or gets saved. If you scuff it, it goes in.
It was just not a catalogue of errors, but it was just a little bit scruffy on our part, wasn't it? Just people not switched on to what they're meant to be doing. I mean, like Udogie, I don't know how he's so strong and physical, but it's just too easy, isn't it? It's just too easy.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember he's he's 22 next month.
Yeah.
So he's still young. Porro's what, 24, I think?
Yeah. Porro's.
So a little bit more experience. And Doggy obviously played left wing back. Porro played right wing back a
Well,
lot.
they are wing backs, aren't they, John?
Yeah.
They're wing
Yeah.
backs, really. They're
Yeah.
they're wing backs who've been converted to fullbacks. I know they play sort of in slightly different positions for Spurs, not as fullbacks, but we've said on here before that they are wing backs, really. But
Yeah.
and Johnson wasn't too far away, but once again, that's just not being quite switched on to where you need to be. That's all that is. And like I said, I think that's something he does. That's not me having a go at him. I just quite often you see him sort of like just drift off and play the guy who he could be back helping the fullback, but he's sort of like he's not one of those, is he? He's not like a battler type thing, if you get what I mean. He's not going to be back there sort of doing those defensive actions. So it just is what it is. It's a goal that when we concede, you're not shocked by it, are you?
Yeah. So the reason I went down the slight tangent of the goal, because we were talking about Sarr, is I
Yeah.
think that really showed where Udogie needs support. And Sarr, apart from I know he won the ball and played some really good passes, and I don't think passing is his strongest suit by any means, he really did help Udogie in that second half. He
Yeah.
really, from a defensive point of view, and that's obviously what Ange saw. We needed a bit more structure, and he switched it from the one holding, two in front, to two holding, one in front.
Yeah.
And given the choice between Decky and Maddison at the moment, and I don't think Maddison played badly, but it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. And we've said this, Maddison had done all right, but I've said this before on our shows. I don't see the Maddison I thought we were getting. I'm not saying he hasn't been bad. He's not horrendous. But, when you, like you said, when you're look, I mean, there was a stat I read earlier that in that first half, Maddison created more chances. I've got it on my phone. I'll tell you what it says, mate. You've probably seen it anyway, John. But it's just like basically, despite being taken off at halftime against West Ham, James Maddison created more chances than any other player in the Premier League this weekend. He became just the second Tottenham player to create 5+ chances in a Premier League game while playing 45 minutes or fewer. But
Wow.
I know. So he obviously was doing something right, but you've got to find that balance, haven't you? And like I said, mate, it's like in the first 10 games of last season, we sort of had that balance right. And it worked against Man United, but we can't always play Maddison, Kulusevski, and Bentancur or Bissouma, because Maddison just isn't. He's trying to drop in, and he's probably trying to do a more rounded midfield job, but he ain't really that type of player, is he?
No, I mean, we talked when he came back from his injury last year, and we know he always takes a while to get back to form, that he was struggling for space because teams had sort of worked out how we play with inverted fullbacks, and Maddison was having to pull out wide to find a bit of space. And I think this season he's been playing more of the sort of alongside Bentancur or Bissouma role more often, almost because, I mean, he's got the ability to dictate play, but it hasn't, at times it's worked, but it hasn't quite worked. But it was his run, wasn't it? He really drove forwards, which helped create the goal for Kulu.
Yeah. And he can do that, but I just think, mate, you're not going to be able to. There's going to be times, and it might be for the better of the team, you're not going to be able to play sort of all the players you want to play. You're going to have to play the game that's in front of you. But one thing with him, maybe, John, remember when Eriksen sort of used to play off the left now and then?
Yeah.
I know Son plays on the left, but obviously like different times, like even on Thursday. Troy Maddison in that type of role, I think he could do that. Like you said about finding space. You've got a midfield that's working hard. You've got Richarlison's back now, so you've got a bit of a target up front, whether you play Richarlison or Solanke. And maybe he might be able to play there now and then, and just maybe something worth looking at. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't happy, but it worked, didn't it? But what annoyed me was, I said in the group, it didn't annoy me really, but it's like you're looking at it going, Caller said that Maddison was injured, didn't he? And said it was tactical. So I'm thinking, why is it just took this long for this to happen? We've just sort of reverted to what was working at the start of last season, and then we go and blow West Ham away, Is he going to be? Is he going to think, well, that works. This is what we need to do. We need to have that balance now, or is he going to go, gung ho again next week?
Yeah. Jax sent me these nice little slides just to see the difference, and this is the I think this is the chance that was saved. Yeah, this is the first one, and sort of showing where sort of Kulusevski and Madison are just a bit out of play. This point, the doggy's lost because Van der Ven is having to front up Bowen on the top picture, and he's crossed the ball there on the bottom picture. And you can see where Porro's then having to turn to try and face up Kudus on the shot that was saved. And then this was the goal. Again, I mean, I don't know where Romero is at that point. Have I lost him? I can't see Romero. I can see
Johnson's not even in the picture, is he, either?
Johnson's not even in the picture at that point. No, he slid in, but it was too late before he reacted. And then, here you go. Is another. No, again, it shows the triangle. If you look at Kulusevski, Bissouma, and Madison, that in both those pictures, you can see clearly the triangle that they're in of the formation.
Yeah.
And then he's given us one. I'm going to flip it again. Here you go. Second half, Sar's right in front of Romero. Bissouma's actually one doing the fullback's job. Porro is that him just inside? And obviously Johnson's also in shot there. And then, come back to that. So I thought there was another one, but basically, it was just inverting the triangle effectively, gave us so much control.
Yeah.
And obviously we came up faster anyway, second half, didn't we? There was a clear up tempo, which we sometimes, and we've had this history over under Ange. We did it against the likes of Brentford last season, where we come out very quick and suddenly score goals in a purple patch.
Well, and I think obviously it didn't work against Brighton, so it sounds stupid, but I think that's where Ange is really good, isn't it? Getting into his players and sort of like rousing the team. Let's get out there. This is what we've got to do. Obviously, he made the change. You saw him, didn't you, say to Sarr straight away, like, you're going on, literally, when the whistle blew and he was out there. But yeah, mate, I just think I'm not a massive Sarr fan. I think he's okay, but he has got legs, and I just genuinely think it just gave us more balance, because we looked tighter in that second half. Obviously, West Ham weren't great. They fell to pieces. But it just gave us that bit of balance. And it frees up people like Son. Do you know what I mean? He's just freed up then. And it's just like you said, people like Sarr, and maybe even Bentancur, they just plug those gaps a little bit better than someone like Maddison does.
I think also Bissouma he has to cover the whole pitch, and there was times Højbjerg had this last season having the whole pitch. Suddenly with Sarr there, but like you say, he's got legs. Having two of them there, and what he did very well was he looked up and he played the quick pass.
Yeah.
Sometimes Maddison, I think, is guilty of the old Romero, stand on the ball, have a look, go this way, go that way, and and he can play brilliant balls, and I like Maddison. But someone's just changing it, because you cannot play the same way against every single team.
100%. I mean,
unless you're Man City.
Yeah, lots of people say that, don't we? But when we were good last season, that first 10 games, because I think Sarr has had a dip in form, but Sarr and Bissouma were excellent, weren't they? And Maddison started off really well for Spurs. But now you've got Kulusevski, who's sort of taken that mantle, who's looking really, really good. And obviously Sarr and Bissouma played together. They look like they play well together. And it just worked, didn't it? That change just worked. And I look at that thinking, that's what I'd probably do going to Palace next week. Yeah.
There's 110 of you watching via both YouTube and on Caller's X, because he pays for his X. We don't. So there's 65 of you watching on there. If you want to put a comment in your X, try and put it on there, and I'll try and see the comment, or pop onto YouTube, search Lads It's Tottenham, and you can come and find us and subscribe, like, all that shebang. Just give us a favour. Want to get the subs back up. We'd love to get to 10,000 by the end of the season, as we relaunch the channel, and we'll keep going. Gibbo, are you going to try and do an instant reaction on Thursday?
We will try, mate. It's obviously tough when, like I was speaking to my lad, has training more or less every night, but I think Thursday he's off this week. So if we can get someone to jump on with me, mate, we'll do something after the game. Yeah. Palace.
You say that. Dr. Tottenham will see you, Cantab, every time. This is how the Premier League works.
Well, but the thing is, John, that was a great result at Old Trafford, but our away. This is my take on it. I was over the moon beating United away, winning 3-0. Really good win. But I said, like, for me, the proof now of where we are is going to be the next game. I said, because last season we beat Villa, we give them a good thumping at Villa Park, but then we went to Fulham and got done. And I know we were 2-0 up against Brighton, but the result was poor at the end of it, and the second half collapsed. And that's where I'm sort of like, this is where I want to see something else. So for me, once again, brilliant. Winning's great. Beating West Ham's even better. Smashing them to smithereens is even better. It's gone. It was brilliant. But more importantly for me, what I want to see is I want to see us carry it on next week.
I'd be really interested to see us get 2-0 up away at Brighton. Are a good team, aren't they?
Yeah,
if
definitely.
If we were to get 2-0 up at Villa or somewhere like that at half time and see how we do second half, because there's no way Angie's going to. He was clearly shocked. And there was part of me wondering if he was making a point to the players by not changing it until as late as he did. And he was.
And that was frustrating.
We know he looks at the long game, don't we? He's not just about the here and now. He's planning ahead. And I do wonder if part of it, because everyone he looks shell shocked. I wonder if part of it was him almost showing them, come on, what the F are you doing? You should be taking responsibility here, because he does believe that players need to take responsibility.
Yeah, they do, mate. And he is right. But it's also a points winning business, isn't it, mate? A results driven business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and I don't think he's the sort who, as well, mate. He's not wanting to sort of like throw a game just to prove a point. I wouldn't think. So it was very strange one altogether. But yeah, for me, brilliant result. But it's what we do next, because as a fan base, we've got people who sort of say, when we don't win, it's all doom. It's all completely doom and gloom. And then you've got the really positive guys who are like, when we lose, no, will happen. This will get better. So I sort of try not to go too much either way, but I'm thinking sort of longer term, like when I think we've turned a brilliant beating West Ham, but for me, turning the corner will be beating West Ham at home comfortably, then going to Palace and getting a result. And then we've got Villa, haven't we, after that, John? We got Villa at home in the league after that. I know we've got City.
We have in early November. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So really looking at it now, going right, we've beat West Ham. Let's get something against Palace, and then if it's a draw or a win, we've got to get something again. We've got to go and beat Villa at home as well. That's when I'll see progression in that we've turned the corner. Obviously, really happy we beat West Ham, but yeah, don't make that win be for nothing. It won't be for nothing. But do you know what I mean, John? Just let's go in, not go and fluff it up against Palace, so we all feel like we're living in the fucking 90s again.
Bad news, Keith, from Cantab saying they don't look like equalising. I'm just going to bring this back to Keith. Although we were the cheese room and we're no longer the cheese room, we're sort of still part of the same family. And Keith is talking about the Patreon that the cheese room has, the Patreon chat with Gibbo and I still in, and Caller's still in. If you are interested, I think it's £3 a month still. Just go to patreon.com/the cheese room podcast, or just go to patreon.com and search the cheese room, and you can join and just join for a month if you want and have a look. There's loads of different things in there, and Keith's in part of the prediction league that they run. There's prizes at the end of the season. They do some nice signed shirts normally, or different merch. So that's my little plug for the cheese room. And if you don't listen to all the audio pod, give the audio pod some really good analysis on there with Franco, Paul, Seb, Brendan, and Caller occasionally makes an appearance. He doesn't just do his YouTube.
Jack gets on there as well, doesn't it?
Jack, the smooth velvet tones of Jack Hoyle are on there as well. Yeah, and occasionally Gibbo, and very, very occasionally I've done the odd appearance. But
mate, I've done one, so let's not say occasionally.
There's only one with it. I enjoyed it so much. I have it on playback multiple times. So let's talk about the second half goals. Then obviously 1-1 makes the change, which to be fair, HG did call. He said that could be a really good move. We got control, and then what was it? 52nd minute, got the second goal.
Yeah, something like that, mate. But they were shouting. I mean, obviously we'll talk about the goals, but at that point we just blitzed them, didn't we? But lovely ball. What could just come on to Son? I'm hoping, mate, that rest by not going to international duty has done him, because we'll come on to the other goal, but of him doing step overs. We haven't seen that enough from him for a while,
No,
have
not
we?
at all.
But I'm not
Yeah.
saying I don't think he was brilliant. I don't think he was vintage Son, but he looked more like his old self. Just a little. He just had a bit more of a spring in his step, didn't he? Like he had the one that hit the post and his goal, and when he ran round and obviously set up the own goal. But yeah, lovely little ball, mate. Udogie doing what he's good, mate. He runs into the box. To be fair, mate, he pulled it back. He was sort of like calm, pulled it back, mate. Bissouma, bottom corner, and we were away then, weren't we? You know,
Yeah.
It was weird because, like Kulusevski said, didn't he, in his once we got it back to 1-1, we never talked about his goal, mate. I suppose we can talk about his goal when we talk about how well he's playing, but he thought that was it, we'd win, and you sort of had that feeling once we sort of took control of that game. And mate, I think they were lucky to keep it down to 4 in the end. But yeah, it was a good goal, good team goal, that wasn't it?
If Ange hadn't made the subs, we'd have scored 6 or 7, I think. But obviously, we've won the game, so it's about we've got 60 games to play effectively. So it's about protection. Yeah, I mean, Kulu's goal. How many of us and everyone in the chat, let us know, thought that was going to hit both posts and roll out, and it just was going to be our day, not our day, because it definitely felt a bit like that. But and Gibbo and you and I have said this before, I think, and I had a bit of an impromptu appearance on Also Spurs on Saturday night on Jim's live show, and I said Kulu, there's so many things, and he's not the level, but he really does remind me of Chris Waddle. There's so many things about his game. He's obviously being left-footed. He's strong. He's mobile. Not quite as fast as Chris Waddle, but I think the commentary I was watching, I can't remember. Ali McCoy's the co-comments. He was making the point. Kulusevski doesn't do anything. He just moves his body, and it's his feinting that throws the defenders. He's just so clever, and he's these little flicks and touches. He's not the best 40-yard passer by any means. He either runs with it, uses strength, or he does these little flicks, and it's just really clever.
Yeah, and mate, I think when you look at him, he looks. He's obviously got that. He's big, isn't he? And he's lumbering, like you said. He's not really quick, but he's still young, mate. There's still growth there in it. And me and HG have spoke about this before when we've been. He's a great footballer. Even when he wasn't playing well for us, because he had that period where he wasn't playing well, I've always looked at him and I thought he's a good player. It's just getting him where he needs to be playing and getting the team working around him. But obviously moving into the middle, mate. But he did always say that's where he wanted to play, didn't he? I don't know if he's going to. I know he scored a couple, but don't know if he's going to be like a real big goal scorer in that position for us. But yeah, mate, I mean, he just moves his body, gets his body in front of people. He sort of knows when to just get in front of someone and draw a foul, doesn't he? But more importantly, mate, he can get, even though he's not quick, he can get you up the pitch. And it's just like watching him at the minute. But like something as simple as a ball sort of is played across his body, and he lets it go across his body, but blocks the player off, and then he just runs onto it, and he's away, isn't it? It's just, I mean, at the minute, mate, when we're talking about him in Madison playing as sort of like that, the number 10 or the advanced midfielder, there's no comparison at the minute for like who's the most effective. It's him, isn't it?
Madison's the passer, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he can play the clever little balls, but Kulu will run with it more. Although Madison obviously ran with it for the goal. You know, they've got different attributes, and I think at different times they'll be needed in different ways. The same way Bissouma, Bentancur. You know, and that's what Andrew's got to find the blend: when to put them in, when to take them out, which way round to play the triangle effectively, or whether you play them as a flat three. And that's where people say he doesn't adapt, and I think he does, but there's times he doesn't adapt enough. Oh, JP's in the chat. What frustrates me about Decky Madders combo is we never tried Gio Madders.
He weren't having Gio, was he?
Gio couldn't stay fit. We tried. I remember we all wanted to say Ndombele and Gio, and Nuno did it at the Emirates, and it was terrible. Poor old Højbjerg.
Mate, Hans just weren't having Gio, was he? It's as simple as that in the end. He just wasn't having it. Just wasn't having him. That's why that wasn't done.
But he was the ultimate super sub when we first signed him, and he would instantly impact the game. Glad to see he's finding form. Yeah.
He was brilliant when we first signed him, but I just think the way we play now, the role we found suits him. You know, like you said, he's not really quick, but in the middle he can sort of affect the game more than he does out wide. But yeah, I think well, at the minute he's our best player, isn't he?
Just give it up, JP. Gio's gone. He's playing well in La Liga, as is Brian Hill. So that might tell you a bit about the level. But it's a different sort of game, and some players suit the Premier League and some players don't. So the third goal.
Yeah, the OG.
Obviously say again, the OG, yeah, which is
Yeah.
a weird one because why is it not an OG off Todibo rather than off the goal? Because the goalkeeper put it onto Todibo, who put it back onto him, and it and it rolled off his foot, but still, it wasn't going wide; it was going in, so it should have been the defender.
When I obviously was watching it, and then you get the alerts come up on your phone anyway. It came up on mine as a Todibo own goal. Did they change it? I mean, I wouldn't know, mate. I don't go back.
I don't know because on BT, on TNT, sorry, they were discussing this. They said it'd been given as the keeper's own goal, which I found. I mean, someone can tell me in the chat if it did change, but they found it strange as did I. But originally, I just thought Areola had made a cock up, and it was Son, because Son's shot was poor, wasn't it, in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, it wasn't a vintage Sonny strike, was it? But
partially because Cooley's pass didn't have enough oomph on it.
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily think someone thought he was going to get the ball because you'd think Cooley's going to shoot, and it was a very clever pass, but needed a little bit more, and he had to take it left-footed while he was sort of on his back foot. And
they were shot by then, though, weren't they, mate? At that point, then
yeah.
that was the breaking point. They'd gone,
absolutely.
you know.
And then obviously the fourth goal not so long later. And I was going to ask about some, but obviously you've already mentioned it. I was wondering how he'd be because obviously he's not been the same. And I was wondering whether the break would do him good, or traditionally when he's come back after a long break, he's taken a while to get going. And it does look like, I thought first half he was a little bit, he had the one curling shot, but he wasn't quite on it. But second half, just different player.
Mate, well, but there you have it. Like you said, the first half, he didn't do a lot. I don't think he's ever really done a lot. If that sounds silly, he's a brilliant goal scorer, and he obviously played brilliantly off Kane. And when he gets the ball, he takes. So, but you're saying it, mate. He had that shot. For the sort of like, I don't know how long he hasn't been shooting, has he, John? You haven't seen that. You haven't seen enough of those efforts off him, and so you could already tell he was sort of like on it a bit more because he had that shot, unless that was an instruction. But Saar gets it out to him early. He knows at the space he's in, and Todibo's a decent defender. But even though Son didn't literally skin him and go past him, he went at him. He went at him, and he was doing step overs, and he was putting him on the back foot. And we haven't seen enough of that from Son in recent times. So it was brilliant to see that. And obviously, mate, once he's got sight of goal, like I said, elite finisher, Son, off both feet. You sort of pretty much know it's going to be a goal.
Can we just talk about loads of Spurs fans wanted us to sign Todibo and were upset that West Ham won the transfer window, obviously, in the summer?
Well, I think that came about money, didn't it? I think we probably would have signed it if the figures involved weren't what they were. But, I don't. Did you think he was awful? Or did you think
I don't think he was awful, but I think Son, he was unlucky with the own goal, but I think Son definitely, made him look poor at that point. And
lots of defenders though, mate, when they're going back towards their goal and you've got Son at full flight running at you, step overs, it's going to be tough for any defender, that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's Son at full flight.
He's probably got to do better there. He's got to try and push him down for wider.
Yeah.
I'd say Cantab saying he looked all over the place. To be fair,
I think he was at that point, didn't he? But I think the whole team were weren't they? They were shot.
And to be fair, players have off games. Van der Ven looked terrible at Newcastle last season. So I guess give him time. And with Lopetegui, is Lopetegui, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you've got to give him time. You've got to see how this works out because he's trying to change things. And although he is a quite pragmatic manager, I think it's a different sort of style. He's bringing it a bit forward from what Moyes was doing. So they've really got to give him the season to see how it goes and where they're going to get to. They spent money, and it takes players time to bed in as well.
Yeah, it's a strange. I mean, I thought they'd put up more of a fight than I thought it'd be a really tough game. But I mean, after they scored, sort of after that point, it was excuse me, it was one-way traffic, wasn't it? Then we were all over them. I mean, after the fourth goal, Sonnet, was it after the fourth or was it after the third Sonnet the post?
It was after the fourth, just after the fourth goal. And that ball wasn't even meant for him. That ball was meant for Johnson.
Yeah.
But he got cut out, and then Sonny got onto it. I think Solanke probably should have gone the other side of the defender with the through ball he was trying to play. A couple of things. So Sonny played 2 outside the right foot passes, didn't he?
Yeah.
One for Udogie for the second goal, and then one for leading to the own goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Played lovely outside right foot. And then Sarr played a couple of lovely passes. One for Son's goal.
Son's goal, yeah.
And was it leading up to the Bissouma goal? I think he played very quick, won it, passed it quickly. It's almost like don't think about it, just do it.
Yeah. Well, but that's what we need to be doing, mate. That's what we're all about, is getting forward quicker. I think the longer we stand on the ball and let teams get back in, it's harder for us to break them down then. So he must have been told, just get on it and just move it quickly. Let's get Johnson and Son in, and that's what we did. But mate, West Ham fell to pieces. They were poor, but at the end of the day, we made them look poor. It's a great win at home against a team who I thought would put up more of a fight, and obviously love coming to Spurs. Right, people say it's their cup final or whatever, but yeah, I mean, really good result, mate. We've got to be happy with that, haven't we?
Yeah, game one. Rest players till for Thursday and for next Sunday. Let's have a quick chat about Kudus. Did you see this? This came up after 74 minutes on the BBC feed. Mohamed Kudus is the one West Ham player who can walk off the pitch with his head held high today.
Mate, that not very often I start getting wound up, but I was watching that whole thing happen. He gave 2 yellow cards, and I'm sat there with my lad, and I'm going, what's going on? What's going on here? How is he giving him a yellow card? And then like VAR intervened, and he's going to the screen, and I'm like, why is he going to the monitor? Why hasn't somebody just said to him, he's pushed him he's kicked him twice on the floor, pushed him in the face, then he's pushed another player in the face. It's a red, mate. You've got to give him a red.
I suspect this is one of those ones where the ref goes, I'm going to give him a yellow because I know VAR will tell me if it's a red or not.
But mate, why does he still have to go to the screen? What I mean, if they're going,
he was seeing practicing for his too much ban, which probably should be a 9-match ban because he could have had about 4 red cards.
Well, he won't be wearing his kit, will he? But mate, it is ridiculous. I find that ridiculous, John, that he's had to sort of like go to the screen. So he's gone to the. He gave him a yellow for the altercation with Van der Ven, right? And then he went to the screen and gave him a red. What did he give him the red for?
I imagine it was pushing Van der Ven in the face.
Yeah, because I didn't know whether I didn't know whether it had been. Well, I'm happy with the yellow I'd give him and Van der Ven. I mean, like at that point, you're thinking
whether the ref saw him push him in the face. I don't know. The kicking one was interesting because we only saw it from one angle. Surely, with all these cameras around the stadium, there must have been a camera angle from the side he kicked him because he seemed to kick him. Yeah, it was really strange.
Maybe it's me not knowing how VAR works properly anymore because I don't listen to half the shit they say on the telly when they keep changing it or in the papers or, in the media and stuff.
I mean, the point is they're trying to make the referee make the decision. And I do agree with you. The first season we had it, quite often they were saying that's a red card. And I think some of the referees felt afterwards they wouldn't necessarily given that. But that's, you're right.
Mate,
they could speed it up. They could have sped it up saying that's a definite red, mate. You don't even need to look at it.
Yeah, you don't need to look at that, mate. He's pushed 2 players in the face. He's kicked out at him before. If it was the 2 kicks, you could have given him a yellow. But for the 2 pushes in the face, it's a red. You've got to send him, mate. End of.
Absolutely. So I think what we've really got to just point out, a safety warning here, Gibbo, is that everyone is safe. Because because there was apparently a fire in the way end at the White Hart Lane at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday morning.
Yeah,
and it looks like the West Ham fans got out very quickly, efficiently, because they they were worried there was going to be a fire, and it just move along.
Mate, the more fires we have in the away ends for our own games, the better, eh?
Absolutely.
This means that good things are happening on the pitch, mate.
Yeah, definitely. So, job done. And we move on to, shall we mention the late game on Saturday?
Mate,
nice little red card for a centre-back.
Yeah, you can. I mean, It's great that they lost, mate. You know what I'm like, John. I don't tend to really care what the other teams do. As long as we do our business, I'm happy. But
did you see the comparison with the one at Anfield though, which is quite interesting? I mean, for me, it's a red card. The one at Bournemouth is 100% a red card, and how the Arsenal fans are whinging about that is just beyond. And also about the Bernardo Silva one, when they spent every game fiddling with the goalkeeper effectively at corners, which having seen the Bernardo Silva one, which I hadn't originally, by the time John Stones heads it, because from a corner you can't be offside until another player makes contact. Bernardo Silva's not in the eye line, so he's not offside, and they don't seem to be able to grasp that.
But the players didn't moan, did they? Really, it was all flared up after. The players just sort of resigned themselves to the fact that the ball went in. But I mean, when you look at Matey, you got sent off for Arsenal.
Saliba.
Yeah, it was a bit sort of like, obviously, wasn't as deep. Remember when Dragusin got sent off in Europe? I know it was a bit nearer the goal.
It was probably a similar situation. I know Dragusin miscontrolled the ball, but similar situation. And the one at Anfield was probably 10 yards. It was by the halfway line. And there was another defender, I'd say, a bit closer, but that looked clumsy as well.
Yeah, and it is what it is, mate. They're always having players sent off. Deal with it. It was the first time they've had players sent off and still not lost, have they? They got found out this week. It happens. Bless them.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Liverpool looking very dangerous, which is ominous. But if they can stop Arsenal winning it, then happy days. Shall we talk about our Europa League game on Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time against RZ of Alkmaar? Because apparently the A stands for Alkmaar, so you're not supposed to say ALZ Alkmaar. Obviously, this is the team that lost to PSV Eindhoven at the weekend with Mr. Troy Parrott up top. Gibbo.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
He scored 5 goals in the Eredivisie, 4 of which were against Robin van Persie's team in a 9-1 win, I think, wasn't it?
He's doing well. He's doing all right, isn't he? He's doing all right over there, mate.
He scored a penalty in their 3-2 win over Elfsborg. They lost their other game to, I think it was Bilbao, 2-0. So they're on 3 points. I mean, you look at Jordi Clasie, played for Southampton.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't know. Anyone in the chat, is Ruben van Bommel related to Mark Van Bommel?
Mark. That's what I was just going to say. That's what I was going to say, mate.
We tried to find Van Bommel, didn't we, in around 2002 or something like that, didn't we?
Yeah, and he chose to go elsewhere, didn't he? I mean, he was a decent player then, wasn't he? He was seen as a decent player.
Saw how terrible we were.
Yeah, mate. I mean, let's be honest. We got to be looking at winning this game, haven't we? It's sort of, if we win this, we're in really good position to go through. But how many changes are you going to make, mate? You know, what do we do? I mean, I'd go Vicario in goal, definitely. I don't think goalkeeper's a position where you have to really be rested, especially this early in the season. I don't think we need to rest him.
We can afford to rest him until we get to the point that we're in that top 8 guaranteed. I think Vicario has to play if he's fit.
We made the decision not to play, put Spence in the squad. So what's he doing in the back?
Do you know what? That was weird. Play. Talking of that, he wasn't even on the bench on the weekend, and Gray was on the bench.
He was injured. So he was injured. Was he injured?
Okay, that makes more sense. Right. Okay. But then Madders was or wasn't, as we've been told from different sources.
You look at that back four, mate. Dragusin and Davis are going to slot in somewhere, aren't they?
Davis. I think it'll be Dragusin, Davis, Gray.
Yeah.
And it's whether he plays a Doggy for half and Porro for half and switches Gray over, maybe. Because I don't think he wants to play Gray at centre back. He got a bit of a lesson, didn't he?
Yeah.
Although if they're only playing against Troy Parrott, he's not a big unit. He's a good player, but he's not a big unit. You think Gray might be able to cope a bit better?
I think Gray may play left. I think he might play left back, mate.
Yeah.
Because he brought him on the other. Yeah, I can see him playing there. And he's young. He's got, he can play in these games now and sort of like learn a bit more about playing football at that level in all these different positions. It may help his game. But I sort of feel for him a bit. I mean, we were told, weren't we, that Gray and Bergvall had impressed that much. That's why we didn't choose to go and sign another midfielder. Yet Gray can't get a game in midfield for Spurs. So
they're all fit at the moment. I wonder if you could see someone like Sarr playing right back. potentially.
Maybe. I mean, one of
Bergvall.
the centre backs might play, mate, aren't they? You know, Romero or Van de Ven might play, and then Davis could sort of play left back.
I think Davis is probably better as a left centre back than the left back.
Probably is these days.
Depends what they're. I think it's Poku. You know, hopefully Man City will sign him and they can have Poku and Doku.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Sounds like a CB program, doesn't it? That Poku and Doku. But mate, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what he'll play at the back, but you got to look in midfield. Be interesting to see if Maddison plays.
Bergvall, Bentancur, Maddison could easily be, which means you've got Sarr.
Yeah,
you know, Sarr might. Depend. I think it'll be an interesting one, especially because it might give you an idea who's going to play Sunday at Selhurst Park.
Yeah,
because he might play that second half midfield at Selhurst Park, which, like you say,
yeah.
will Madders come back in? Obviously, as I commented earlier, Kerry said Madders looked rather upset on the bench, which you get. You've taken off half time, and he hadn't played badly either. So it could be those three, and then it's probably going to be Werner Moore, and I doubt Rich is going to be. Is he going to be fit enough?
Richarlison? Well, mate, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, you can just give him 60, can't you? But then, do we want to be in the business of just giving him?
Is he ready for 60 or ready for half an hour?
Yeah,
I don't know if Lancashire's fit. Will he give Lancashire another 60 and then maybe Richie on for half an hour?
I mean, he did it. He did that, didn't he? Away at Ferencváros, so he may start him at home. I mean,
I thought Lancashire did all right.
He did all right. He looked all right, but I wouldn't completely check. I'd rather see like excuse me, like a Solanke or a Son or a Johnson. I think we've got to start at least one of them. I don't want to see like Werner. I want to see Moore play with the better. I want to see him play in a stronger team, if you get what I mean. So we can sort of see what he can do with those players. So, but I don't know. I've got a feeling it will be a much change. So I'm talking like 7-8 changes.
Is there an argument that he played Porro in Hungary, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is there an argument that Porro's there because Moore was in front of him? Is that maybe part of the reasoning?
Maybe. I mean, it doesn't matter where you play. Like neither of our fullbacks are like really strong defensive fullbacks, are they? So whatever side you play him on, you sort of and I suppose if you play Davis behind him and he's getting done, then Davis is going to be more exposed, isn't he? You know, he's a little bit older. But then again, you know, would he benefit from? I don't know, mate. I just want us to go and win the game. I'd rather see us go and win the game and then make changes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll work like that. I think it'll be.
What are we thinking then? I mean, they've lost their last 4 games.
Yeah.
So
maybe we got to be beating them. We got to be beating them, haven't we?
They're going to score, though, aren't they? They're going to score, and those Dutch away fans will be crazy in the away end. And
yeah, it depends how we start in it, but maybe
there'll be a 3-4-1 and a flare. That's my prediction.
I'd like to see another good 3 or 4-1, mate. Like I said, I'd rather see us go strong. I'd rather see us go strong, bag a few goals, play Maddison, start Son, start Moore, start Solanke, and then get a couple of goals up, and then bring other players in.
Ron has said Vicare, Porro, Dragushin, Davis. He's putting Gray in midfield. Gray, Bergvall, Bentancur.
Yeah.
How many players you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We'll definitely win then if we play all that.
Is that because -1?
Yeah. But mate, I'd rather see us go strong. I mean, was Bergvall on the bench?
Sorry, Keith.
Yeah.
I'd start Bergvall.
Would you?
I'd be tempted to have Bergvall, Bentancur, and Madders, and as the midfield 3. I think Gray's going to have to play at the back. There's no choice in that. He's just put 4 midfielders in. That's why. So it's really whether he plays. Like you say, Sarr could play as a fullback if you want to rest Porro. But I don't know if he's played there before.
Werner's going to start, and it'll be Werner. It'll be Werner,
Moore, and a striker.
Yeah,
and we've got 3 strikers to choose from. He'll want to rest Solanke.
Yeah.
So it's how fit is Richie? Can Richie play 45? Can Richie play 30? In which case he might be. If Lancashire's fit, he might play 60.
Yeah.
Or if there's any problem with Lancashire, maybe it'll be the Slanky plays another 60.
Oh, like I
yeah.
said, let's just beat them. Let's just get the game out of the way, get done, get ready for Sunday.
And then talking of which, Palace have lost by the looks of the comments. Look way off it. Eze looks to have checked out. And I know Palace fans that I've spoken to are very frustrated. Eze isn't at all on it. Is it because he was at the Euros and come back late and hasn't quite picked up? Is it because he's frustrated he didn't get his move that he thought he was going to get this summer? And he's seen the Lise tearing it up in Germany, playing with Harry Kane.
I think some of that, mate. I think some of that. Obviously, they're not playing as well as they were last season, but it was all about him, Mateta, and Elise, wasn't it, when they were on form? Yeah. Wharton as well, who seems to have gone off the boil. But mate, that result doesn't. That for me, as a cynical Spurs fan, mate, that result doesn't fill me with like positivity for the weekend.
No.
Some of the other stuff, mate.
At some point, you'd expect them to turn it around, but then we've said that about teams before. I mean, they've lost 3 in a row. They drew against United. Yeah, I mean, they're really struggling generally. What's their
they are struggling, aren't they?
They are 3 points to make games. They've got 2 points more than Wolves and Southampton.
If we go there with the intent of the first half away at Brighton, and we played at Old Trafford, and we're on it, and we stick to our guns, and we're all switched on for 90 minutes, we should be beating them, shouldn't we? At the minute, if we play how we can play, but if we go there and aren't on it 100% and mentally we're not in the right place, there's no reason why they can't. Like, they'll be fighting for their lives and they'll do us. But someone like isn't Nketiah there? Nketiah's there.
He is there now. Yeah. Again, one of these Arsenal seem to do this, don't they? They bring up these strikers who do well out on loan, and then they get sold, and they never really, unless someone can remember one in the comments, never really do anything, even though they get good fees. And a lot of these Chelsea players that we've never heard of get sold, and they seem to have a decent career. But for some reason, with the Arsenal, particularly the forwards, it never seems to work. I don't know why.
But mate, we got to be looking at going there and getting some of the way they're playing, haven't we? Definitely draw minimum.
Absolutely. I've just looked up the fixtures. So we've got out AZ, Palace, then we've got City in the Cup next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Then we've got Villa at home, as you said. And I was at the Villa game last season. I thought we were going to get battered because we had to have Brian Hill playing. That's where that and Bentancur started his first game.
We did all right.
We played him off the park until Matty Cash destroyed Bentancur's ankle. Then we go to Galatasaray in Turkey.
Yeah.
So we get to play. Is Sanchez there? Is that where he is? Davison Sanchez?
Yeah. Sanchez is there, isn't he?
And the striker from Napoli, whose name escapes me.
Oh, Osimhen.
Osimhen there, isn't he? And then we play Ipswich on the 10th of November, which I'm hoping to go to because it's my birthday weekend. And then it's the international break, which I love calling messages to say, I've just realised there's another international break in 3 weeks because it hasn't happened every year for like the last 10 years, or apart from the World Cup, obviously.
Just mate, Villa's at Galatasaray obviously will be a tough fixture away in Europe. To go away there and get a point will be a good result.
At least we've got 3 home games around that. The only away game we've got is Ipswich is at home, Villa's at home, City's at home, and Palace is obviously only South London. So actually, we're only travelling big time for that one game.
We've got to be looking at doing Ipswich, haven't we, at home? Got to be looking at that.
Yeah.
City at home in the Cup. Guardiola's, I mean, I don't know whether it's sort of mind games or whatever, but he's already said that he's not taking it seriously. That he's literally said that, hasn't he?
He takes every game seriously, but what you know with him is he knows the league's tougher this season, and he wants the Champions League.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, John, is like they'll make changes for that game, but they'll still be a good team. If we go with a Europa League side, like say the one we did in Ferencváros, we ain't getting into the next round of the Cup, are we? We've got to pretty much go with that City home game full strength, I'd say, with our more or less our best team, just a bit of tinkering. But the Villa game at home will tell us where we are. Playing a good team at home, isn't it? We lost to Arsenal at home. Now we've beaten Man U. We've beaten teams and beaten teams who were below us and stuff at home. But we've struggled against Arsenal at home, and Villa are a team who are above us in the league, who are looking to push on. So, but are probably closer to us than Arsenal. So that will be a really good indication of where we are that game.
I mean, so Villa's run of games, they've got Bologna tomorrow. Then they play Bournemouth at home. So play home to Bologna, home to Bournemouth, game they should win. Then they play Palace at home in the Cup on Wednesday. So, and then they travel to us. And then 3 days after us, they've got Club Brugge away. Again, a game they should win, really.
Yeah.
You know, Bruges are a decent team, but seeing how Villa, you know, they've got the guy has got European pedigree, hasn't he? So they should win that. And then on the 9th, at 8 o'clock, quite a late game, they travel to Anfield. So that's going to be a real interesting one, that, because Liverpool obviously flying.
Yeah.
And seeing how Villa play that will be the last game before the
our game
break.
with Villa, mate. They've just been to Fulham and won well, and Fulham have been playing well. So I don't think they'll come to Spurs and do a West Ham. They're not going to. I think they're not going to do that. That's going to be a tough game.
Are Villa still playing the trying to play the offside trap all the time?
No, I don't think they are. I mean, I think they play a pretty high line, because I think that's how they got caught out at the weekend. But, you know, they are a good team. I think they're a little bit more robust, a bit bigger. You know, they got, what's his name? The kid who they bought from Borough in midfield. He looks...
Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers. He's big, strong, drives them forward. They remind me a little bit of when we sort of were building under Pochettino. You know, they've got Onana. Yeah. I'm not saying these players were as good or they're as good as we were there, but, you know, they're strong and physical in midfield, and they sort of mix up what they do, but they've got someone who'll score goals up front and players out wide, and a pretty decent defence and a really good goalkeeper. Like I said, that's going to be, obviously for me, with like all my family, all my wife's family and everyone supporting Villa, is going to be tough. But, you know, that's going to be a real gauge of where we are, because like I said, if we're beating going to Brighton and losing, beating West Ham at home, if we don't go to Palace and get anything, then we lose to Villa at home. It just sort of shows that, to me, that we're sort of like flat track bullies and we can beat the teams around us at home and we're doing all right, but against the better teams we're struggling. Then that's when I look at it and think, you know, where are we going? What are we achieving here? Because the away form's been fucking piss poor, hasn't it, for quite a while? So,
I mean, the thing about West Ham is they're not. I know they beat Ipswich 4-1 at home last time. They've not been in great form. They haven't quite clicked under him yet. So you've got to look at the bigger picture sometimes. And if we'd held on against Brighton, everyone would be happy.
Yeah,
we had one bad half of football, and it all was falling apart.
But we got destroyed, didn't we? We got destroyed. That was
mentally we weren't strong enough. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And should have changed it. And like I said earlier in the show, maybe he was just trying to prove a point to his players, but that I don't like, but I sort of would understand it if that's what he was trying to do. But ultimately, a couple of good results can bring us here, and then we're us as a fan base, and you're probably the most emotional of all our group, Gibbo.
Yeah,
we really feel it hard, don't we? We are up and down a lot.
Yeah, and John,
we
for me,
lose a game. It's also the manner of the defeat, isn't it? To be fair,
John, for me, yeah, you're right. Sorry, mate, I'm cutting on you. But for me, you say the emotional, and Spurs are up and down or whatever. I've seen enough of that shit, mate. I've seen enough of that. When the same as you, we were going at the same time. You know, under your just before your Yols and under your Hoddles, and even for parts under Yol. You know, we thought we'd moved on from there, didn't we? You know what I mean? I used to go to away games, and I've been to umpteen away games, and I can't remember how many. But there was a period where going away from home, you just thought, I'm just going for the day out because we ain't going to win away from home. We're rubbish away from home. And I've just got that feeling now. And, you know, for me, I want to see, same as everyone, I suppose, but that progression for me will be like when we back up wins at home against teams away from home. I don't expect us to go to the Emirates and win, or go to the Etihad and win. It'd be or Anfield and win. You know, I'm not expecting that. One now and then would be nice, but do you know what I mean? Like your Palaces, go to Brighton and get some. We were beat there. Really, we were beaten there. Wow, last season. I just want to see that in progression. It does. I do get not a mo. It just winds me up, mate, because I think we just all sort of like let ourselves down at the final hurdle, don't we? And it's
Yeah,
that. It's like winning at West Ham and you think you're on your way, and then go to Palace and get beat or something stupid like that. I just want to see us move on from that.
Yeah, I mean, Cantab's 6 wins out of 7, which is correct. However, we obviously the Coventry game, we all know we were incredibly lucky. Brentford, we played
should be
well.
Beating them. Yeah, but we should be beating them, John.
3 at home, even though we had 10 men, we played well, but we should be beating them. I mean, they missed a hat for the chances. Man United were just poor and
good result, mate.
Slightly half red card. Ferencvaros was, we sort of did well against them. It's a tough play. These away games are tough in Europe. It's the travel back. Brighton, obviously, we talked about. And then West Ham, you have to beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, you can only do that.
So, like you say, playing Villa, playing Liverpool, as we got in the coming weeks, and even City in the Cup, these will be the real. See where we're getting to. Are we progressing? But if you look at our stats, look at the way we're playing so much better than we were the second half of last season. I'd say it's just been we couldn't finish. Now Solanke's coming back. He's sort of got a couple of goals. Johnson's finding a bit of form. And then hopefully if Richie can stay fit, and I think the advantage of Solanke is that Richie doesn't need to be chucked in all the time and can be managed.
Yeah.
Hopefully he might start getting the odd goal because he did have that purple patch last season, didn't he, around Christmas time?
Yeah. But I sort of alluded to it before the season. I just had a feeling that didn't think we'd be great at the start of the season, but I was sort of hoping that we'd end the season how we started the previous season. But, since that 10 games, we sort of are where I think we should be, if you get what I mean. I know, like you said, there's underlying numbers, but it's a results-driven business, isn't it, mate? And that's what matters, not like how well you're playing or what your XG is or what your fucking possession figures are or any of that. It's results, and that's what we need, results, and that will ultimately be that's what the manager and the players will be judged on. Results.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you agree, disagree? Give us a comment. If you're on Twitter, comment on Caller's feed where this is going out live. Or if you watch it on YouTube overnight, if you're in Australia, the States, wherever, please give us a comment afterwards and we will try and get back to you. Gibbo, it's 10:10 in the UK. I think it's time for Benny Boys for us to get up nice and early. Thanks for joining me. Guys, thanks for being in the chat tonight. Thanks for watching. Got 147 of you watching between YouTube and
great numbers. Thank you.
Twitter. Great numbers. Thanks for that. And really, that's about it, mate. We'll hopefully see you back Thursday. I might join you, depending on how it goes.
Mate. Let's see. We can round up, mate. Let's see. We can round up.
We'll try to do an instant reaction show after, unless it's a complete. Yeah, we're going to win, aren't we? Of course we are.
Of course we're going to win, mate. Never in doubt. It'll never be in doubt, mate. We know we're going to win.
I'm going to say, come on, you Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs.